Join me today on a little deep dive of Taylor Swift's song Eldest Daughter, where we rewrite it a little bit to incorporate more storytelling and incorporate more of the general theme of what it means to be an eldest daughter. I feel like that was the main thing for me where the ball got dropped on this original song. I hope that this video is taken with understanding that I have a lot of respect for the original artist. I think it actually, in my opinion, shows a lot more respect to treat the artist as a peer and to engage with their work as it exists in front of you and to be open to being critical about it, not necessarily like ripping it apart, ripping it to shreds, but being open to discuss it, you know what I mean? And so for other Swifties fans out there who fell in love with her storytelling, this is a video for you. So when the track list for The Life of a Showgirl by Taylor Swift was first released, I was very, very excited for a certain song called Eldest Daughter. I was like, this is gonna be such a cool song. I'm excited to hear it. It's track 5. And if you don't know, like track 5 is usually the song that, fans speculate that Taylor Swift identifies as the most emotional or deepest, most introspective song on the album. So I was very excited for what this song had to offer, and when I listened, it was okay. For me, it didn't personally hit. I think that the lyrics were not all there for me. That's just my personal opinion, but if Eldest Daughter is like a favorite song of yours, we're still friends, we're still chillin'. I think for me the biggest problem with the original song, and I say problem very lightly because of course, I feel very blessed to have any music by Miss Swift, And I really do hope that the internet is capable of taking a nuanced take on this. I would like to think that you and me, me and you, the people that are choosing to watch a video like this, I would like to think that you're the type of person who would enjoy this kind of thing. So join me today on a little deep dive of Taylor Swift's song Eldest Daughter, where we rewrite it a little bit to incorporate more storytelling and incorporate more of the general theme of what it means to be an eldest daughter. I feel like that was the main thing for me where the ball got dropped on this original song. I write songs all day, every day. I don't post them a lot. I don't have a ton of resources or equipment or time to produce all the songs that I write, but I've written over 100, and songwriting has really, really helped me get through a lot of my life. And Taylor Swift for a really long time had been a huge inspiration to me when it comes to writing. So when I got this song from her, that's all I'll say. I hope that this video is taken with understanding that I have a lot of respect for the original artist. I think it actually, in my opinion, shows a lot more respect to treat the artist as a peer and to engage with their work as it exists in front of you and to be open to being critical about it, not necessarily ripping it apart, ripping it to shreds, but being open to discuss it, you know what I mean? I think that certain fans that aren't willing to engage in any sort of discussion about whether or not this may or may not be her best or worst work, whatever you want to call it, I think that they're missing out on the opportunity to learn something new about what makes us love her music so much in the first place. Is it just die hard, blind following? No, it's her storytelling, at least it was for me. And so for other Swifties fans out there who fell in love with her storytelling, this is a video for you. So I think my biggest gripe with the original song is twofold. The first one being, I feel like there wasn't enough common thread of what it means to be an eldest daughter in this song. There's a lot of references to trolling on the internet, being unbothered, and being unbothered can be an eldest daughter quality, but I feel like it's all very surface level. I think that there are some areas of this song that are strong. I really like the parts where she says, when you found me, I said I was busy, that was a lie. When I said I don't believe in marriage, that was a lie. I like those parts a lot. Oh, and if you haven't listened to the song yet, I recommend listening to it first and then coming back, because it'll just make the video make a lot more sense for you. I really like in the pre-chorus how she says I have been afflicted. I like that part a lot. I like the term terminal uniqueness, but I don't know. Whenever I went into my rewrite, this is one of the lines that I threw away. I kept the I'm afflicted, but I threw away terminal uniqueness. I like that term. I just don't love how it's being used here. So the common thread of Eldest Daughter I feel was not carried throughout very well. I think the concept of feeling like you have to show up as strong is carried out well, but I don't think it really relates heavily to the concept of being an eldest daughter. In verse 1, we have where it talks about being on the internet, making sure that you stay cool and stuff like that. And then verse 2, we have about being in someone's backyard and breaking your arm and learning cautious discretion. I'm having trouble connecting. And of course you can make connections if you look hard enough. I just wish the connections were more easily made. I wish that it was more, because the thing is, whenever you're a writer, your whole job is making sure that your idea gets communicated well to your audience, right? I feel like some of her other music just does it so effortlessly, like tying all of these different threads together, and I just feel like this song leaves a lot untied. If I'm going to give my hottest take that I think I've ever put on the internet, and people who know me and my content know that it's very rare that I put out a hot take because I'm always like, I'm someone who really values nuance, but if I was going to give my hottest take about this song, and I hope that people don't hate me for this, it feels like she put in a line about being an eldest daughter in the pre-chorus and then said, oh, that's an interesting concept, and then she made that the title of the song. But I really don't see like it woven into the rest of the verses. Like I don't see the impact of where you come from being an eldest daughter, like where that starts, where it begins, and the resulting effects of that. And it seems like she almost wanted to do that here in verse 2 because she starts storytelling there, which I really appreciate, like where she's like, the last time I laughed this hard. So it seems like she made an attempt to storytell there. In the bridge, it seems like she made an attempt to paint with some imagery with the Ferris wheels, kisses, and lilacs. I like that line a lot too. But overall, I just feel like it didn't land very cohesively, and I know that she's capable of so much more. We've seen that in her past work, and I know that one of the common critiques of like people who are mad about people like me who are expressing our opinions on the internet is like, oh, this is just a fun pop dancey album. You shouldn't be expecting great lyricism from fun pop dancey albums. And I don't know. I don't know if I would say that's true, because I think 1989 and Reputation are really good examples of fun poppy albums, and I think that they do so much more lyrically than Showgirl does. Regardless of that take, I think that with the piano, with the sound of the song, she was attempting to get deep here. She was attempting to get intimate, and just for my taste did not get intimate enough. You can let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I want to say I want you to be respectful because I'm so worried right now. I'm gonna get a bunch of people telling me I'm stupid, but you know what? I can always delete this later if I decide to, so. The first thing I wanted to do is ask like where this concept of eldest daughter comes from. For me, the term eldest daughter really means like someone who feels like they have to take care of others at the expense of themselves, and someone who has that responsibility kind of thrust upon them by either an absent caretaker or from a caretaker who's not well equipped to be able to serve the needs of all the children, kind of thing. We start out in the song,
we were kids with a childish ambition for the dream of a better life set in. Though I know the way through is forgiveness, the memory's persistent, I can't get over it.
So let's create this character of someone who is the eldest daughter, and I kind of made it a song of the eldest daughter talking to her mother in a way. It starts out with the speaker kind of reminiscing about their childhood and how they had all of these kinds of dreams for themselves, and she's like, I know that I should probably forgive in order to feel better about all of these things that have happened, in order to feel better about my situation, but the memory of all of these things occurring is persistent and I can't get over it yet. What I like here is it's by saying the memory is persistent, it creates that question in your head about like, wait, what memory? What are we talking about here? And it's that amount of questioning I think is lost in the original form of Eldest Daughter. We don't get a lot of opportunity to ask questions about why things are occurring and where they're going. You just sort of are told a story rather than shown the story and given the opportunity to wonder about its trajectory. And Taylor Swift does this really well in her song This Is Me Trying, where she starts out with, I've been having a hard time adjusting. Like whenever she says adjusting, you're like, wait, adjusting from what? It creates question, and so that's what I was kind of aiming for in this draft.
How it's easy to ask me a question or take an interest in my life, but four walls don't talk and I guess the connection was lost.
The next stanza, it's establishing the connection or lack thereof between the speaker and the mother character here. The speaker is kind of expressing like, you had the opportunity to talk to me, you had the opportunity to show interest in me, and then you paint the image of four walls don't talk, so sitting alone in your room, no one's coming to visit you kind of thing. The connection was lost, meaning like you don't even call, like from your cell phone, so.
You had been afflicted by a diligent disinterest. Would it dictate how you showed up in my life?
One of my favorite things to do in songs is to take two words that mean almost opposite or very different things and stick them right next to each other. Obviously, it has to make sense in the context. So in this case, it says you had been afflicted by a diligent disinterest. So the word diligent means to work really, really hard at something, right? But disinterested means to not care about it. So it's sort of like painting this image about, so first of all, it says you had been afflicted, meaning like you had also been through this. It's talking about that generational trauma that happens where like no one showed interest in you, and so you didn't have proper example for how to show attention to me too. It comes to a point sometimes, I don't know if anyone else has experienced this before, where when someone is like so intentionally ignoring you or so like when someone is just like not paying any mind to you enough to the point where it has to be intentional. You sit there thinking to yourself, this has to be on purpose. You have to be trying really, really hard to not notice me like this much. And that's what this line means in the song, diligent disinterest, like you are trying so hard not to take an interest in me kind of thing.
I picked up the labor, raised her, made the bed, then 10 years later, she hates me for controlling her life.
So in this next part, we're getting into that concept of the eldest daughter that takes care of others before herself. So she talks about how this person she's talking about is like this absent caretaker, a person who is not involved in the family, so to say. And so she takes it upon herself. She has that responsibility thrust upon her, and the speaker just kind of takes it upon herself to raise her siblings. In the song, it's mentioned like she has one sister kind of thing. And then it tells you the consequence of this occurring. You take this responsibility to take care of the sibling, and yet it creates this weird dynamic where you are almost like controlling their life because you are also a kid. You're not well equipped enough to be able to like lead a family like accurately or well. And so it kind of talks about the dynamic that happens whenever children are parentified this way. I know that for me in my life, I kind of had an interesting relationship with one of my younger sisters, because I have 4 sisters. But there was an argument I had with one of my younger sisters one time where it kind of became apparent to me that I was over involving myself in her life, and she did not like that. And so I think that this is a very common thing that a lot of eldest daughters can go through. Of course, I'm not an eldest daughter, it's just the concept of the song. But I think that's a very common thing that either parentified children or eldest daughters can go through a lot, where they can get into like a habit of not taking care of themselves and only taking care of others, and that can kind of take an effect on everyone around them, as we're going to see in the later verses.
And you have your reasons, and I know you mean it. I never wanna let you down, I never wanna leave you out, and God knows you mean well. Still history bleeds out. I never wanna let you down, but I'm still underneath the ground.
And the chorus we want to keep intentionally easy to understand, right? The verses is where you can get into your nitty-gritty, like the story to be told, but the verses you want to be like something that people can easily listen to, easily get it, something that people can maybe sing on their own by the 3rd time you come to it in the first listen of the song. I did like the melody a lot of the original song, and I thought it worked really well with the I never want to let you down part. But we did change a little bit here, like you have your reasons. So now the speaker's saying, you have your reasons for why this unfolded this way, and I know that you mean well. So now the song has become a little bit of like bargaining with the person she's speaking about, like this wrestling with wanting more for herself, and also understanding that there were just circumstances that made things happen the way that they did, and there's no changing that. And despite like everything that's happened, ultimately want that connection that was always kind of neglected or not there.
It's a pain growing older and backwards, cause what kept you safe now holds you back. Hypervigilant kid is an angel, adults just collapse. Wish someone had told me that.
I love second verses, guys. So we established already why we're here, what's going on here, how people are feeling about each other in verse 1 and verse 2, we're talking about how it translates to the next part of their life. After being a kid, when you grow up, it starts to feel like you're not growing up anymore. Like it's sort of like you're growing sideways. Like if you've heard the song, I think it's even called Growing Sideways by Noah Kahan. But it's all about like growing up and like not feeling like you're able to grow up at the same time as the people around you. And this is what we're talking about when I wanted more consequence from the character in the original eldest daughter. The consequence in this draft is by being parentified as a kid, you now become hyper-vigilant. And what's most interesting here is that a hyper-vigilant kid is someone who's glorified. They are given gold stars. They're saying, oh my gosh, you're amazing, you're so low maintenance, I love you, you're great, awesome, thank you for being here. But those same qualities that make you a really easy kid make you a very difficult adult. Like, not only do these skills not transfer very well to the other people around you as adults, but it also just is not sustainable for you as a person, you know? So the speaker's starting to kind of understand here, like, it worked back then, but it doesn't work now.
That she's your primrose and I was a makeshift nurse. She grew up and I grew outwards.
So the primrose reference here is a reference to the Hunger Games Primrose. I think that she is one of the most obvious examples of an eldest daughter taking care of and protecting another member of the family. And so it kind of pulls that reference from, this is the person that you always seem to protect, kind of thing. And then the makeshift nurse, I actually tried to Google, like, whenever people are in wartime, right, you have nurses that are not fully trained, and there's a word for them. And the word did not fit lyrically, so I couldn't insert it. I think it was like it was like a 3-word acronym. I can't remember, VAC or something like that. But I used the word makeshift nurse in place of that because the concept of being a parentified child is you're not equipped, not trained to be able to handle the responsibility that you are handling right now.
She grew up and I grew outwards. Took me years not to feel like I owe her what you never were.
She grew up, I grew outwards. Oh, that's probably my favorite line, because when you have like parentified children, so to say, people that they take care of, a lot of times it seems like from the outside looking in, that person gets to grow up because they got the emotional support that they needed from that parentified child, from the eldest daughter. But the person who is doing the caretaking, it feels like they grow outward rather than growing up. They grow outward so they can take care of more people. Like, they don't know how to take care of themselves, so they're like, who's the next person I can take care of? And that's the direction in which they grow until, you know, they get therapy and realize something better. So the next part is my favorite mic drop moment. It took me years not to feel like I owe her what you never were. And that's the thing, like, with very empathetic people growing up in a household where they see needs not being met, it feels like the only right thing to do is take on that responsibility for yourself, right? But then where does that leave you? Like, you carry that throughout the rest of your life and continue to take on more than is appropriate for you, you know? And so I really like this line about, like, taking years not to feel like I owe it to her to be what you never were.
And you have your reasons, and God knows you mean it.
So this is a line that I thought of in editing later after I had recorded the draft, but like, I would love to change this line here even, where it says you have your reasons, God knows you mean it. I want to change that into you have your reasons, I used to believe them. That would be good. That would be good, right? You have your reasons, used to believe them, or something like that. That would be awesome. I think if I ever end up re-recording this song, which I don't know if I will, because like I have a ton of other original music to be like working on. I want to release my album already, but it's so much work. If only I had the resources of T-Swizzle, you know what I mean? Which is part of the reason why like it kind of is disappointing to me to like see someone who has all these resources come out with something like that. I don't know. It's just me in my opinion.
I don't know who I'd be should the tables turn, were I not the eldest daughter. Who I'd be should you see what I'd really think. You're a coward and I'm the monster. Overthink your every word, call me an armchair counselor.
And then we have the bridge. So this is the part where you kind of get your concepts that come clashing, come head to head, so that you can come out the other end better for it. And with this draft, for me personally, it's about like 70% there if I were going to treat it like one of my original songs. Usually when I get to this point is when I put the demo on repeat and I listen like for hours throughout the day as I continue to edit it down. And the bridge itself that I wrote here, you know, it's okay, but it could definitely go farther. So, you know, it is what it is. I don't know if I'll spend more time on it, but I might, who's to say. The bridge that I have written here at least is what I consider an improvement personally, but you know, to each their own. So in the bridge, we're talking about like this question of what if, like what if I got to be the protected kid? What if I was not the person who did the protecting or the caretaking? I wonder what version of myself I would be today. Like, it's just that big question. And then you have this concept of like, you're a coward and I'm the monster. So like, we've already established the person the speaker is talking about to be like absent and distant, right? And so like, you can kind of connect that to being cowardly, like not being able to show up. And then because they were unable to show up, it's turned the speaker into this like Frankenstein monster of like anxiety, you know, like it gets melodramatic. We love it. And then I also like this reference to like being an armchair counselor. It's a reference to the term like armchair therapist, armchair psychologist, if you've heard of that. Essentially someone who is not trained to be a psychologist or therapist or anything like that, but they just kind of like play the role. And I know that throughout my life, a lot of people have told me like, oh, you should be a therapist. And I'm like, no. And I know that whenever one of my sisters got married, when she introduced me as part of the bridal party, she said, what was it? We'll be your therapist in exchange for Taylor Swift tickets. Which is so funny as we sit here today editing a Taylor Swift song.
You have your reasons right, promise you mean well. Well, I don't wanna be let down, I don't wanna be left out.
So as the chorus comes around the very last time, we start to ask more questions like, you have your reasons, right? You promise you mean well. So it takes this declaration that happened earlier in the song and it's starting to show the doubt in the speaker's voice, like, is this okay? Should I be asking for more? Is it wrong of me to want more from you? Because another characteristic of an eldest daughter to me is someone who always downplays their own needs and second guesses what they should want out of life. It's almost like they're always telling themselves to want less out of life. But in the very last chorus, we actually see the speaker start to connect a little bit more with their needs. And they say, I don't want to be let down. I don't want to be left out.
Spoke for the first time in 3 months. Missed your laugh, I wish we could always talk. But you know me, I'm a silence machine. Keep the noise underneath. You gifted that to me.
And what I really love about the outro is it's kind of this moment of understanding between the speaker and the person that they're talking about. I think that the best songs are able to show empathy not only for themselves to like, you know, move through the emotion, but also for the person who is supposedly inflicting whatever conflict upon them, right? So this is that moment of empathy, this moment of I see you, you see me, like this level playing field, like I am what you made me kind of thing. These two, and the sad thing about it, like the tragic part of this song, is that both the speaker and the person that they're talking about do want to connect, they just don't have the tools to. And so it's sort of like, I like to imagine the last stanza like these two people sitting in a room wanting to connect with each other, but just not having words, not knowing how to because they were never shown that. I really like that moment of like, it's okay that they don't have words because they just understand each other and that goes deeper than anything else. So that's it. That's the song Eldest Daughter revised by moi. Again, this was just a fun little thought experiment. I hope that this song like just scratched the little itch in your brain. If you, like me, wanted a little bit more from this song, let me know your thoughts and opinions, I suppose. I hope that they're kind, otherwise I'll cry and delete it. Also, Taz has been sitting here this whole time, being a sweet kitty cat. Yeah. I am working on my own original music too. It's just, I am having to teach myself music production, and so every time I get to a song where I'm like, oh, okay, cool, it's done, it's good, I learn more, and then it makes me need to have to go back and like re-record everything that I just did to make it sound cohesive and normal. And I don't know, maybe I'll just release all the music that I have, even though it's like, you know, even though it sounds different, even though it sounds amateurish and it's like someone trying to figure out how to work their DAW, but You know, I don't know. Tell me your thoughts and opinions. If you are interested in hearing a little bit of my original music, I think that there are 2 songs that would really suit your interest if you liked what you heard now. One of them is Damage Control. That one is actually on Spotify. I have a demo out on Spotify. And then another one is My Mind is an Island. That one is another one that is really, really good if you liked this, because yes. Anyway, I'll see you next time, whenever that does occur. Thank you for hanging out with me.
We were kids with a childish ambition for the dream of a better life set in. Though I know the way through is forgiveness, the memory's persistent. I can't get over it. How it's easy to ask me a question or take an interest in my life, but 4 walls don't talk, and I guess the connection was lost. You had been afflicted by a diligent discentrist. Let it dictate how you showed up in my life. I picked up the labor, raised her, made the bed, then 10 years later, she hates me for controlling her life. And you have your reasons, and I know you mean it. I never wanna let you down, I never wanna leave you out, and God knows you mean well. Still history bleeds out. I never wanna let you down, but I'm still underneath the ground. It's a pain growing older and backwards, 'cause what kept you safe now holds you back. Hypervigilant kid is an angel, adults just collapse. Wish someone had told me that. She's your primrose and I was a makeshift nurse. She grew up and I grew outwards. Took me years not to feel like I owe her what you never were. And you have your reasons, and God knows you mean it. I never wanna let you down, I never wanna leave you out, and God knows you mean well. Still history bleeds out. I never wanna let you down, but I'm still underneath the ground. I don't know who I'd be should the tables turn. Were I not the eldest daughter, who I'd be should you see what I'd really think. You're a coward and I'm the monster. Overthink your every word, call me an armchair counselor. And you have your reasons, right? Promise you mean well. Well, I don't wanna be let down, I don't wanna be left out, and maybe you'll see that history taught that I don't wanna let you down. Promise you won't leave me out. Spoke for the first time in 3 months. Missed your laugh, I wish we could always talk. But you know me, I'm a silence machine. Keep the noise underneath, you gifted that to me.